back, another brew. Today I'm going to be brewing up a extract version of a Kolsch beer. So it's kind of loosely based on a recipe from this Greg Hughes book for his recipe for Kolsch. If you've never brewed a Kolsch or even drunk a Kolsch, it's often referred to as a hybrid type beer. So it's the end product is kind of like a lager, but it's brewed like an ale, so it uses a top fermenting yeast. It should be clean and crisp, have some kind of malty, grainy character to it, but kind of more subtle sort of character, and subtle hoppiness to it. And of course it should be brewed with a Kölsch yeast. So this is very much a Kölsch style beer. I think you can only call it a Kölsch. It's actually brewed in Cologne. Clearly this is not, so this is a Kölsch style ale. And yeah, so the recipe in here, there's actually two recipes. There's a full all grain recipe and there's a full extract recipe. So I've actually adapted it to kind of be somewhere in between. So I wanted to brew it predominantly with dried malt extract, but I also wanted to kind of introduce some of that graininess that comes from the Pilsner and Carapils malt. So I'm going to be using extra light dry malt extract. I'm actually going to be brewing a 19 litre batch. Again, the recipe in here is for 23 litres. I'm going to be brewing a 19 litre batch. All this is, I put it in the comments anyway, but you can have a look. But essentially it's 2 kilos of extra light dried malt extract. I've got 500 grams of crisp lager malt, which is the Europils malt, which I'm going to be obviously mashing for a short time. And I've got 250 grams of Carapils. So the Pils malt and the Carapils I'm going to be mashing essentially for, I don't know, 45 minutes or so in 67-degree water. I'm going to be doing that in about, I don't know, 8 or 10 litres of water. Once that has finished, I'll remove the grains, add 1 kilo of the light dried malt extract, and that's going to become my boiling wort. So the hops I'm using are Hallertau Mittelfeuer, which I've got 50 grams of, and I've got 50 grams of Tettnang. So 50 grams of the Hallertau is going in at the start, 30 minutes I'm going to do the boil for. So the 50 grams of Hallertau, 30 minutes, and then the Tettnang, I'm going to do one addition about 10 minutes I think, and then I'm going to do a whirlpool addition. So I'm going to drop it down to about 80 degrees and do a whirlpool addition to get some aroma from those in as well. The plan is then to, I don't know, maybe cool that down a bit if I need to, or just dump it into the fermenter with some cold water. Cold water that's coming out the tap at the moment is pretty much near freezing. It's nearly January, be January on Sunday, so kind of we're in the depths of winter here. So the water's cold, so I might not need to chill it down. I'll see how that goes. So yeah, into the fermenter, top it up. When it's at pitching temperature, I'm just going to go in with the Kölsch yeast and ferment that out for probably a couple of weeks. And that's it. So it should be a relatively straightforward brew, and I'm looking forward to the results in this, although looking out the window doesn't really feel like Kölsch drinking weather, but I think thinking ahead, by the time this is ready, it should be weather should be picking up, and yeah, I'll be right in the mood for a few of these. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. All right, so I'll show you how it's, or at least I'm going to be doing it, and yeah, see you at the tasting. All right, so I've got my water here, my kettle, which is now up to 66. I might need to raise that a little bit once I put my grains in, but I'm just going to have my grains in now. So in with the lager malt. Just give that a bit of a stir around. Now in with the Carapils. Okay, well that doesn't seem to have affected the temperature too much, so I'm going to whack the lid on and let this mash away. Alrighty, so just while I wait for my grains to mash, I've been weighing out my hops. So I've got my first addition, which is going in at 30 minutes. So this is the 50 grams of hallertau. I've got half a protofloc tablet, which I'll be chucking in at 15 minutes. I think at the start I misspoke. I think I said I was going in with a hop addition at 10 minutes, but actually I've got my first Tetnang hop addition going in at 5 minutes. So it's 15 grams at 5 minutes. And this is the addition that I'm going to put in at the whirlpool, which is 35 grams of Tetnang, so at 80 degrees. Okay, that's the end of my mash. I actually ended up leaving it for about an hour because I got distracted, but that won't make any difference at all. So I'm just going to pull this bag out and let it drain off, add a kilo of my light dried malt extract and bring it to the boil. Right, so the malt is now at boiling point, so I'm going to chuck in my first addition, 50 grams of the hallertau, and that will be in there now for 25 minutes before my next addition. 15 minutes to go, in with the half a protofloc tablet. My second hop addition, can't do this one-handed, so you'll have to imagine I'm putting the hops in this bag. Right, the boil's over. I'm going to move this off of the heat source where it's been and add the rest of my dried malt extract. Then add some cold water to bring it down to about 80 degrees and then add my last hop addition. All right, back for the tasting. Okay, so this has now been conditioning for 6 weeks. I've had it out in the shed for most of that time, so kind of under cold conditioning conditions. And I've just brought it in, put it in the fridge for a few hours before serving it, so should be nice and cold. Let's give it a try, see what it looks like first of all. Try to find the most lagery Kölsch looking glass I can find. It's a bit undercarbonated, this one, by the looks of it, but that's fine, I can live with that. Okay, so it's a little bit darker than I was expecting. It's got a bit of chill haze by the looks of it. It's not quite as clear as I was hoping it might be at this stage. It's a little bit hazy, but I think that's just where I've had it in the fridge for a couple of hours and it's made it go a bit hazy. It looked clear in the bottle before it went in the fridge. So it's supposed to be bright and straw-like. I'm not sure I could describe that as bright and straw-like in colour. It's a little bit more golden than that, I'd say. So it's probably because I used extract rather than all grain. Obviously I used the grains as well, but yeah, you know, it's not too far off being kind of a light golden colour anyway. So it's quite a pleasing looking beer. I guess there's not much of a head to speak of because it's undercarbonated, so kind of maybe you have to let me off on that one. I did open one a couple of days ago and it was quite nicely carbonated actually, so I don't know what happened. Maybe I just didn't put enough sugar in the bottle in this one, but yeah, anyway, let's have a look what it smells like. So it's got a nice sort of fruity, herbally type aroma to it. Maybe a little bit of spice in there. It's got a bit of malt coming through as well, but overall it's kind of, it smells like a nicely balanced beer. It's definitely, you know, you can tell it's an ale rather than kind of lager. Sort of a sweet, grainy malt aroma. Smells nice. I'm going to go in, give it a try. That's nice. So it tastes malty. Again, kind of like a nice, sweet, grainy malt flavour to it. The hops, I mean, it's got a lovely bitterness as well. from the hops, but there's a kind of nice sort of fruity, floral flavour from the hops. Really nice, actually. It's lovely and balanced. That's the first thing that strikes me. So the balance between this kind of malt, sweet malt, and the hops is really nice. I'm glad that I kind of did the mini mash. There's a bit of sort of character coming through from that Pilsner malt, and the Carapils, I think, that was in here as well. So I think kind of that's done it quite a few favours on the kind of malt front. As I said, you kind of need that sort of malt character, I think, with these Kölsches. I was trying to actually find one in the supermarket to compare it against, but I couldn't track one down for love nor money. And I even went to a craft beer pub last night. They had a really extensive range of beers in their fridge, but they did not have a Kolsch. So I guess that shows you the beauty of home brewing, in that you can brew any style you like, regardless of whether it's commercially available or not. So I've got nothing to compare it against really, but what I can say is that it's a really nice, tasty beer. A bit different to kind of what I brewed previously, and it's kind of a nice change from those big kind of hoppy, hop bombs, or the pale ales that are very popular these days. So it's quite a nice break from that, and it's a really refreshing kind of ale-y lager type thing, I guess. So if you're looking for something different to brew, something refreshing, you drink cold out of the fridge, then I would definitely recommend giving this a try. I think definitely the mini mash, or maybe an all grain version of it, is worth considering, because I think it's all about that kind of sweet, grainy malt flavour, or at least balancing it out with those hops. So pretty pleased with that. I'm going to chalk that one up as a success. I think with this Kolsch yeast that it does benefit from longer conditioning, so I think I'm going to leave the rest of these bottles for a couple of months, maybe try and forget about them, and come back to it in a couple of months, and hopefully by that time it'll be springtime. It's going to be a perfect drink for sitting out in the sunshine and drinking in the spring. So yeah, happy with that, and I would recommend giving a Kolsch a try if you haven't yet. So yeah, cheers everyone.